For today's lesson, we will be discussing function and relation. And in this lesson, we have the objectives. Number 1, define function and relations. And number 2, differentiate functions and relations. Now, let's begin. Let us start with a review. What is the set of all possible inputs for the function? Letter A, abscissa. Letter B, coordinate. Letter C, domain. And letter D, range. Your 5 seconds starts now. Alright, the correct answer is domain. Now let's proceed with number 2. What is the set of all possible outputs for the function? A, abscissa. B, coordinate. C, domain. D, range. 5 seconds starts now. The correct answer is range. Number 3. Find the domain and range of the given ordered pairs. Here we have 1, -2, 3, -4, 5, -6, 7, -8. Remember, domain are the set of all the inputs in our function. So here, the domains are 1, 3, 5, and 7. Next, let us identify the range. Remember, the range are the set of all the outputs in our function. So the answer here is, we have -2, -4, -6, and -8. Now let us define first the relation. When do you say that it is a relation? A relation is a set of ordered pairs, while a function is a relation where each element in the domain corresponds to exactly one element in the range, meaning to say, one x value must have only one element. And relation can be represented by these following ways. The first one is by mapping. So here we have the domains or the outputs in our function, and we have the range. As you see, one x value corresponds to one y value. So 1 corresponds to 3, 2 corresponds to 4, 3 corresponds to 5. The next one is table. So this is how you will represent relation using the table. The other one is by graphing, wherein you can plot the points. Next is by an ordered pair. Now let us answer this. Which of the following relations are functions? So I have here 3 relations. So the first one is f equals 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 7, 6, 9. The first thing to do is to look at the x values. Okay. Does the first value repeats? The answer is no. Since 1x value corresponds to 1y value, meaning to say that this relation is a function. Next, we have the second relation, g equals 2, 9, 3, 11, 5, 13, 7, 15. As you see, each x value corresponds to only one y value, meaning to say 2 does not repeat, 3 does not repeat in our domain. So we have the domains are 2, 3, 5, 7. So we have the two functions. What about in h? So h is equal to 5, 9, 10, 7, 11, 12, and 5, 8. As you see here, the first element 5 repeats, meaning to say this relation is not a function. Again, if the first element repeats, this means that the given relation is not a function. Now let us have by mapping. When do we know that it is a function and it is not a function? So is it a function or not a function? Why? So I have here this mapping. So as you see, all the first elements corresponds to one element in our second element or in our output. So 1 corresponds to 3, 2 corresponds to 4, 3 corresponds to 5, 4 corresponds to 6. So if there is a one-to-one correspondence, the given mapping is a function. Next, is it a function or not a function? So as you see, 1 corresponds to 1, 9 corresponds to 3, and 9 corresponds to negative 3. 0 corresponds to 0. So as you see here, 9 corresponds to 2 values in our y. Therefore, it is not a function. And it is one-to-many correspondence. Because 9 corresponds to 2 values in our y or in output. Next, we have 0 corresponds to 0, 1 corresponds to 1, 2 corresponds to 4, negative 2 also corresponds to 4. It is a function. Why? It has many to one correspondence because the first value here, 2 corresponds to 4, negative 2 corresponds to 4 also. Remember, if the x value corresponds to one element in our y value, it is a function. 2 does not repeat here. Negative 2 does not repeat again. Okay? Next. So here it is not a function. Why? Because our element 3 corresponds to 2 values in our output. Again, element 3 corresponds to 2 values in our output. And it is many to many correspondence. Next, we have here the exercise. Determine whether each diagram is a function or not by writing function or not a function. We have number 1. The correct answer here is function because all the x values in our domain corresponds to only one y value in our range. For number 2, this is not a function. Why? Because our element 6 corresponds to 2 elements in our range. Okay? So 6 corresponds to 4 and corresponding to 6. Next, number 3. We have function. Okay? All the elements in our domain corresponds to one element in our range. Number 4, this is not a function because 9 corresponds to two values in our range. So 9 corresponds to 2. 9 also corresponds to 8. Number 5, this is function. So all the x values corresponds to only one element in our range. Number 6, this is function. 7, this is function. 8, correct, that is also a function. Thank you for watching.